Breaking news, Boba Fett to make a special cameo appearance in the Book of Boba Fett. My name is Tom, I too was left for dead on the sands of Tatooine, and this is Tom's Take. Hey there guys, Tom here, welcome back to my movie channel and thank you very much for joining me. This is a bit of a different video. I'm not going to frame this like a review because it's a little bit different to a normal review that I would do, and I'm not sort of following my normal structure, but I do want to talk about the Book of Boba Fett because this is a very intriguing subject to me, and I'll get into why in just a second. But before I talk about the Book of Boba Fett, have you guys seen the show? And if you have, make sure you jump down in the comment section below and let me know what you think of the Book of Boba Fett thus far. We have one episode to go, the finale. And if you guys haven't been here before, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so you never miss out on my take on all things movies. So the Book of Boba Fett. This is a show that when they first announced they were doing a show about Boba Fett after his amazing appearance in Mandalorian Season 2, and they said they were going to do his own show, and he goes back to Tatooine and takes the throne of Jabba's palace, and he's going to become a crime boss. He wants to be his own boss. Listen, the title of this video has already given it away, but I wanted to talk about why this show has been such a disappointment for me personally. And I don't like making videos where I'm just sitting here, you know, ranting for minutes on end about how much I hate things and how much so-and-so has ruined a certain property or whatever. But I really do want to get my feelings on this show out there and discuss it and put it out in the world and see what you guys have to say. So if you'll indulge me for the next, little bit here, I'm going to be talking about why this show has disappointed me on a lot of levels, and why overall I feel like the Book of Boba Fett has just been an unmitigated disappointment almost from start to finish with a few shining, redeeming qualities. The Book of Boba Fett overall is a show that I feel has a bit of an identity crisis. This show, to me, does not know what it wants to be from the start. Firstly, we start with Boba Fett, a character, an iconic Star Wars character, and the show is basically tasked with asking and answering a few questions. Who is the man behind the mask? Like, let's get to know the character of Boba Fett, played by Temuera Morrison, who I love. Temuera Morrison as this character and as Jango Fett, I love this guy. Every time he speaks, you just sit up and pay attention. I love his voice. I love the way he plays this character. I love that dude so much. He's so good in this role. I could watch him read the phone book. I really could. But this show introduces us, to questions of, well, who is he? What are his values? What does he stand for? And obviously the question most people want to know, at least going into this show, was how did Boba Fett get out of the Salak pit? We know he got out because he was in Mandalorian Season 2. And so, hopefully the Book of Boba Fett is going to go back and answer that question. And answer that question it did. But I think ultimately, this show took one of the most feared, renowned, famous bounty hunters in the galaxy in Boba Fett, who, by the way, I've always looked at as an overrated character. He just stood there in Empire and didn't do much. And, sure, like he tracked down Han Solo and all that, but he didn't do much. He wasn't really a full character. He was just a dude in a helmet. But, he does have this reputation around Star Wars fans and in the universe as well as this feared, famous bounty hunter and a dangerous guy and an intelligent guy as well. And the Book of Boba Fett treats Boba Fett like he's an idiot. I mean, from episode 1, this guy is making just completely dumb decisions for apparently no reason at all. I mean, especially when you get to the point where he goes back to Jabba's palace to get his ship, right? And by the way, I don't give a shit about the controversy surrounding the way they changed the name of the Slave One. I couldn't give a fuck. So he goes back to Jabba's palace to get his ship, right? And then he's gonna go and find his armor. So he flies the Slave One. And by the way, him killing all of the swoop bite gang, that was awesome. Loved that. Goes back to the Salak pit, flies the Slave One. Hang on a second. Let me get my Slave One, because I have it, or the fire spray, whatever you want to choose, that's fine. He flies the ship, and he lands over, and this is the Salak pit here, and he's right over the Salak pit like this. Now, the Salak pit, by the way, in this episode, is still alive. He didn't kill it when he got out, and he's looking for his armor. Knowing the Salak is still alive, and we all knew it was going to happen, and of course it did. A tentacle reached out and grabbed the thing. Now, First of all, he's an idiot for flying the ship over the Salak like that and getting that close. Secondly, like a scene earlier, he saw that Fennec Shand had a little tiny ball droid that mapped out Jabba's palace and showed how many guards there were and all this stuff. Why didn't they fly the ship at a distance to the Salak and then send that little droid out to see if she could map, and find the armor inside the belly of the Salak? Why didn't they do that? But it gets worse than that, because Boba Fett got out of the Salak pit with his armor on. So why would he be looking in the Salak pit for his armor when he knows he got out with it on, because the armor allowed him to survive and to escape the Salak pit? You see where I'm going with this? Boba Fett in this show is not the brightest bulb in the bunch. And don't even get me started on the fact that he hires a bunch of street kids as his muscle kids who can't fight. But hey, you want a job being my bodyguards, essentially? Now look, in the first, they launched, did they launch the first 2 episodes at once? The first 2 episodes, were a lot of flashback stuff to him being rescued by the Tuscan Raiders and him bonding with the Tuscans and all that stuff. And I saw some people online complaining about that. And I thought, no, just hang on a second. This will come back. This will be relevant at some point. Well, then we get 4 episodes in. And 4 episodes in, it's basically all been about the Tuscan Raiders. Here and there, you've had scenes of him walking into the nightclub and into the bar to see the sexy Twi'leks, and he's, sort of fought a gang of assassins, and he's done a little bit here and there, but we haven't seen much of him in present day trying to be a crime boss, right? It's all, the majority of the time, been with the Tuscans. I don't know that it needed almost 4 whole episodes dedicated to that. Like, that was a bit much to me. And I just felt like, at a certain point, by the end of episode 4, I thought, this show's boring and it's frustrating, because I want to see Boba Fett be the crime lord, or learning how to be a crime lord. Like, something. I want to see the badassery of Boba Fett like he was in Mandalorian season 2. And they sort of changed his character for this show. He's not really the same guy that he was in that episode of Mandalorian season 2. Now he's all about respect and kindness, and so I feel like, they have a bit of an identity issue with Boba Fett, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a Disney property now, and you can't have this vicious, violent, like bloodthirsty Boba Fett running around, because it doesn't conform with the Disney brand. And I'm not shitting on Disney. I'm just saying that I think it's an issue that's come out of Disney owning Star Wars, is they can't push the limit too far with violent characters. And Boba Fett, like, he's a badass. And so far in this show, he's just stood there and said some threatening stuff, but he hasn't really done much. Now, there is some stuff in the first 4 episodes that I like. The scene of him coming back to the Tuscan Raiders and finding them all dead, that was heartbreaking. That was absolutely heartbreaking. Now, I am actually, and I'm in the total minority here, I am pro the Mos Espa Vespers, all right? I am pro those kids. I think their bikes look sick as hell. I love them. I want one of those speeder bikes. I really like those guys. Now listen, they weren't in the greatest episodes, but I like them, and I think it's a cool concept. And because it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, who directed one of my favorite movies of 2019 in Alita Battle Angel, it was bringing, Alita Battle Angel and crossing it with a bit of Star Wars with the body modifications and all that stuff. I like it. I kind of think it was kind of cool, Didn't work for most people, but it worked for me. That was okay. And then you had, Black Chrysanthemum, who is an awesome Wookiee. I love that Wookiee. I just want to go up and give him a nice big hug. I mean, he might kill me, but I'd take a hug from Black Chrysanthemum. Who wouldn't? It's not until we get to episode 5. And while episode 5 and 6, which I'll get to in a second, are both really awesome episodes of Star Wars TV, like absolutely fantastic. My issue is not really about the episodes themselves as episodes. My issue is about the episodes being in the specific show that they are in. Because you get to episode 5, and I understand completely that, look, at some point we knew Mando was going to show up. And who doesn't want to see Mando again? It was great to see Mando again. I loved episode 5, the whole Darksaber thing, the armorer. I ate it all up. Why was it in a Boba Fett show? And I've heard some people say, well, we needed to establish where Mando was, where he has been up until this point, from the end of Mandalorian Season 2 to now, where he has been, so that when he meets up with Boba Fett, it's not so jarring of like, well, Mando's here. Where's he been? Who cares? He's here. So I understood that. I really do. What frustrated me, though, was it highlighted, you have a whole episode on Din Djarin of Mando. And it sent Twitter crazy, right? More than I'd seen in the first 4 episodes of Boba Fett. No one online was raving about the first 4 episodes like they were about episodes 5 and 6. And it really just highlighted to me how much of a disappointment the first 4 episodes had been. And I hadn't really realized how disappointed I was in those first 4 until I saw episode 5. And I don't think it's a coincidence that so far the 2 best episodes of the Book of Boba Fett have had no Boba Fett in them. And I think it's especially clear once we get to episode 6 that entire episode is about Mando wanting to see Grogu and Luke training Grogu, and Ahsoka shows up and Cad Bane and all this other stuff and Cobb Vanth, and like it was, look, I'm not going to lie, like it got a little stiff. Okay, seeing Luke and Ahsoka standing together, seeing Luke training Grogu, seeing Luke pull out Yoda's lightsaber and offer it to Grogu, like come on. Nerd boners all around. Loved it, ate it up every single second. Why is it in a show about the Boba Fett character? Why is this episode in a show called The Book of Boba Fett? What does Luke Skywalker training Grogu have to do with Boba Fett as a character? What does that have to do with Boba Fett being on Tatooine in his war against the Pike Syndicate? The two are not even remotely connected. All right? So what does one have to do with the other? It was a great episode 5 and 6 of the Book of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian episode and the Luke Skywalker Mando episode, whatever. Are great episodes of Star Wars TV. 2 of the best episodes of anything Star Wars to ever come out in history. It just did not belong in a Boba Fett show. See, and that's what I don't get about this show, and that's what's been so frustrating about this show, is that it really does feel like they wanted to do a Boba Fett show. I mean, we all know this. They've been wanting to desperately do something with Boba Fett for years. And they wanted to do this show, and they didn't really have a real story aside from, well, Boba Fett goes back to Tatooine, he takes over Jabba's throne, and he's got to fight other dudes who also want to take over Tatooine. Like, that was like the basis for the show, right? It was like, him and Fennec, they're on Tatooine, they got to fight the Pikes. But they didn't really have much more to go on. They didn't have any more meaty story there. It was just as simple as that. It was one line. It was like one paragraph of Boba Fett, not a whole book, right? And so you've got to fill out a 7-episode series order. So what do? Well, you bring in Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, and Grogu, and you do a whole episode on that. You absolutely don't talk about Boba Fett. And the fact that, like, in episode 6, he's only in it right at the end for about 10 seconds, and he doesn't even say a goddamn word. Like, someone has to explain to me why this show is called The Book of Boba Fett. Because this show, Boba Fett, is the least interesting part of his own show. That's what really frustrates me, because in Mandalorian season 1 and 2, Mando and Grogu, that's what that entire series was about. Mando was our guy, right? He was the character we were following. He was the character that we were attached to that entire series. The entire series was focused on him. And yes, you had episodes where Bo-Katan would show up. We get really excited. You had episodes where Boba Fett showed up. We got really excited. You had an episode where Ahsoka showed up. But the focus was always on Mando and Mando's story. It never lost sight of that, even with the other supporting characters from Star Wars past. That show, Mandalorian, never lost sight of the fact this show, it's a Mandalorian show, and it's about Mando's journey with Grogu. That's what that show was. That's not how this Boba Fett show has played out. For 4 episodes, it was Boba Fett, with Tuscans. Okay, fine. But it didn't really amount to anything. And then episode 5 and 6 haven't really been about Boba Fett at all. It's so frustrating to me. It's that it just highlights to me how disappointing the show had been with Boba Fett up until that point. And I really do not think it's a coincidence that, and maybe, like, I don't think you can convince me otherwise. It's no coincidence that the 2 best episodes of this show were not focused on Boba Fett at all. Had nothing to do with Boba Fett's story at all, in the least, aside from the last 20 seconds of the 6th episode. It was basically, it really did feel like 2 episodes of Mandalorian Season 3 leaked onto Disney Plus before they were supposed to. Like, we're missing 2 episodes of Boba Fett, by the way. Like, at a certain point, the show stopped being Boba Fett and it started being Star Wars the show, or Member Berries the show. Look at this guy, look at that guy, look at this one, like, right? It started to turn into that a little bit. Now, I know we've got 1 episode left, and I know there are people that are asking the question, well, why are you making the video now and not after the finale? Wouldn't you want to see the finale and get a full opinion on it? And I thought about it, and I realized that no matter how good or bad the finale is, my opinion is my opinion. It's not really going to change because this show has already disappointed me. I have loved 2 episodes of this show out of 7. And in a series that is only 7 episodes, for episode 6 to come out and for it to just feel like, oh, finally this show is just only now starting to really ramp up and get going and get interesting. In episode 6, where Cad Bane shows up and now we're set up for Cad Bane versus Boba Fett in the finale, that's something that felt like it should have been in episode 3, because ain't nothing about the first 4 episodes of Boba Fett have been anywhere near as exciting or entertaining as the last 2. And so I just feel like, the finale is going to come and it's going to be what it is, and it might be great and it might suck. But either way, no matter the quality of the finale, to me, the Book of Boba Fett has been an unmitigated, like, really mixed bag. And it's a show that just didn't, to me, it just doesn't know what it wants to be. And it's trying to be so many different things. And I totally understand the point of view that, well, they're building to something bigger. It's going to be this big crossover event, with Mandalorian Season 3, and Boba Fett's going to come back, and Ahsoka and all this stuff, right? They're going to cross all these shows over. I totally understand that. But you still have to make each series a good standalone series. You can't put the cart before the horse when you have a cinematic universe. Like every Marvel movie, right? No matter, like, whatever you think of it, right? They focus on making every MCU movie the best movie it can be on its own, while also here and there tying into the larger universe. But the priority is to make the best singular movie possible. And I feel like with the Book of Boba Fett, they got too carried away. They tried to do too many. They're trying to introduce all these things in such a short period of time. And I'll be honest, like, if this show was, if we were up to 6 episodes of like a regular series of TV, like a 22, 23 episode season of television, I would have tapped out on this show by now, because honestly, I've been very, very disappointed in this show. And I really don't like getting on here and just, bitching about something that I hate. But I felt like I needed to, at least get on here and give some thoughts about the Book of Boba Fett, because, and talk about my thoughts on it, and that I'm disappointed in it. And I really hope great things for the finale. But like I said, the show has been just such a letdown to me, with 2 amazing episodes of, just Star Wars glory. Like, just 2 fantastic episodes that didn't have anything to do with the title character of the show. Yeah. So anyway, guys, that is my thoughts, opinions on the Book of Boba Fett. Let me know in the comment section below, what did you guys think of the Book of Boba Fett? Have you guys been enjoying this show? Have you been disappointed by it? Are you loving it? And if you really love the show, then that's, I'm not here to change anyone's mind. I'm just here to give my opinion. You can take or leave it as you want. But that's my thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett. Thank you very much for watching, guys. My name is Tom. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And may the Force be with you. And I will see you guys next time.